I had psychologically prepared myself to advise the Gen Z to study and follow people like Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya, and to some extent, J.M. Karaoke. But something has happened that I feel I should also comment on it. The events about the 20 million church forces me to comment it first before going back to Tom MBOYA, J.M. Karaoke, and so on. If President Ruto reduced drastically his public utterances or public meetings, most of his problems would disappear. He is on record. It was during Mwai Kibaki's funeral when he said that Kibaki is the best president Kenya ever has had. Even right now, Kibaki is the best president that Kenya has ever had. Kindiki said that it took Ruto 2 years to do what Kibaki did in 5 years. People say the Kindiki was wrong, but then they did not understand what Kindiki meant. It took Kibaki 5 years to place Raila in the pocket, and it took Ruto 2 years to place Raila in the pocket. Now at least you understand. During Kibaki's funeral, Ruto said that Kibaki is the best president ever. There is something he did not understand. Kibaki's nature. Kibaki abhorred public meetings. Kibaki never liked politicking. And you see, Ruto and Raila, they are really become happy when they see a microphone and a crowd. Kibaki generally was never comfortable with a crowd and with a microphone. Kibaki wanted to talk development, economics, such and such a thing. Kibaki had a habit of introducing development topics, and if you started talking things that he was not comfortable with, he would say kitaenda vile kitaenda na kitakuwa na vile ikotewa, and he switches off. But if you are to talk development, yeah, let us do this, let us get this money here, let us use that money, pump it here, let us do this and this, Kibaki would be very happy. Kibaki would participate that. But this politics of answering back, somebody talks, you answer back. Sometimes you do this, you do that. You'd see Kibaki would say, kitaenda vile kitaenda na kitakuwa vile kitaenda. And he will switch off. One example of Kibaki, although it's not the topic today, is that he had a minister called Michuki. And he had the head of the police called Hussein, general. Each went to see the president, and each told the president that sitafanya kazi na huyu. And when the president said, okay, I'll answer you. And when the president had an opportunity to talk in public, he said, kama hutaki kufanya kazi na huyu, unasema hutaki kufanya kazi na huyu na huyu. na atafanya kazi na nani. That's it. Kibaki did not want to discuss people. Hii sijui people throw words, Ruto returns. I'm not happy about that. Many, if Ruto decided to keep quiet for a week, people will not attack him. Because most of the people, what they say and do, mostly what they say, is what he has said or done. Now, if he keeps quiet for 10 days without appearing in the press or anything, these people will lack what to talk. So, Mr. President, in case you get it, in case you get what I'm saying, kindly tone down. We had President Moi, who always wanted to be the first item in any news reporting. One time, I think it was in the month of February. One time he stayed for about a month. Is it not even a month? 2 weeks without being seen on. And people started saying, hey, the president has throat cancer or something or so. If you don't appear in the press, you can be sick for a long time and recover. And nobody knows. But if every day you must appear in the press, the day you'll be sick or anything, the day people will start talking. And another thing I wanted to say is that to the president, is that Jomo Kenyatta never talked. Those days TVs were rare. It was only the radio. He rarely talked. But when he talked, the country listened. I remember those days, you could be walking and you hear Jomo Kenyatta talking in a radio in somebody's house. You knock the door, person asks you, what do you want? You say, I've heard oh no, you knock somebody's door, he or she says, can you tell me quickly what you're telling me because I'm busy? Why busy? He or she wants to go back. And he or she wants to go back and talk to, and listen to the president. And you'd say, I want to listen to the president. You'd be welcome. Take a seat, listen to what the president says. After the president has completed this speech, you go. Kindly make it possible that when we open the TV, we should not expect, we should even miss you. We'd say, hey, the president has stayed for long without talking. So that when you talk, people listen. But nowadays, you talk and everybody expects you to talk. And when you talk, it is reacting to what people have said about you. Well, they say we should not contribute to the church, whatever. And to make matters worse, you promise money. You promise money. You see, people read what they want to. People read what they want. There is a professor who had a big white board, and the board had a small. It was a big white paper, and it had a dot which was black. And he took round the lecture room, and the students noticed the black note. The whole page, they did not notice anything. They just noticed that small dot of blackness. That is how human beings are. So when you talk, you give them an opportunity to see that small. You may talk 100 things, but 2 of them are not palatable. Or one may be unpalatable, another one people may misquote you. Now, for you to have talked of giving out 20 million, you have not even given out. Now you see there. I think that may change you. I remember the days when Museveni and Garang were gorillas. I remember the days when Museveni and Garang were gorillas, whereby journalists from BBC would ask them, and where do you get, there used to be rumors. Used to be rumors that a certain country is supporting NRA or another country is supporting SPLA. And when you ask them, How do you get those arms? They would tell you that the chief quartermaster of the military, of the defense forces, is their supplier. Is it not chief quartermaster, but chief armorer? Chief armorer is the one who arms them. And then they would be asked, how are you getting arms from Kampala or Khartoum? They say, we just go to their camp and break into the armory and take guns. You cannot even cheat a Boy Scout on that. You mean going to a military camp? I don't want to mention any of the military camps here. You bypass the gate, you go to where the armory is, where there are 3 or 4, is it even 5 locks? Different people. You go, they give you keys, you open, you take out. Kikuyu say, Henia modo. So that is what I'm saying, that the GNC, their biggest arm supplier, if I can call them arm supplier, is Ruto himself. Every time he talks, he gives them a topic to talk the following day. I'm not trying to say that he should keep quiet, but he should talk about things. And you see, especially talking things like he's a Christian, he is saved, born again, chairman of a former chairman of Kapsabet Boys Christian Union. But Kenya has many religions. I would have wished that in future, even when the president goes to a church service, that is, you can remember Mo used to work with the club everywhere, but when he went to church, he never carried the club. Let us make it that if he goes to a church, unless it is official opening of a church or during prayer time, no, the anniversary or something like that. But if it is the normal Sunday service, I would advise the media houses to ignore that and take it to be personal. I have seen now. That is now what I want to talk about Ruto. If I go to the GNC, now I'm going to the GNC. I have seen the GNC. Everything that they do is to say we don't want finance bill. We don't want that particular church to be given 20 million. We don't want this. We don't want people who are over 35 years to be in government. We don't want this. We don't want some of these things. You just ask yourself if the GNC ever did KCPE. But at times, I console myself by saying, this GNC, yes, I've said before that maybe this is a problem with free education. Maybe that is what we have to live by. Because those who are before them, they knew how people would struggle. They knew how they would be chased out of school and how they would suffer. I have a son who schools students spend a total of 9 months in school and 3 months at home. I think my son used to spend 5 months in school, 7 months at home. Every time he has been chased, you find that you have 2,000, and that was in primary. You have 2,000, you take the 2,000 to school. After a week, they again ask, so I think this issue of free education has made the Gen Z have that sense of entitlement. We need this. We don't want an IEBC chair who is over 35 years. We don't want an IEBC chair who is recycled and whatever. There is no recycling here. There is no recycling here. Chebukati died the other day. If Chebukati was among the people who were to be judges of the High Court, but then his name was removed after he became sick and later died. You see, if you take Chebukati has been the late Chebukati, he was a lawyer for a very long time. From there, He was a chairman for the IEBC for 6 years. He died. He's my age mate. In fact, I'm 6 months older than him. We were born the same year. Me, I was born in July. He was born in December. Uh, so I'm 5 months older than him. So he has been a lawyer for several decades. That is an experience in legal matters. He has been the IEBC chair. Now, if he goes to the High Court to be a High Court judge, that is an experience. But if the jinsia are to be understood, is that you look for a jinsi who was called to the bar 2 years ago to be a judge or even chief justice. Some things don't make sense. Even when Tom MBOYA, whom I'll talk a lot on this episode, uh, took Kenyans abroad, he took a lot of Kenyans abroad. He took a lot of Kenyans to the USA. Jaramogi took a lot of Kenyans to Russia. JM started NYS. Even those people who are going to be treated to do that, when they came back, they worked under expatriates. The late Chesoni, there's a time when Chesoni was in the High Court, and he was the only black man in the High Court. For you to be a judge, there's some position you just don't go there. Okay, you want somebody who is going to be what is the name of this madam? The Auditor General, who audits money. So you think that if you are 35 years and you have a CPA finalist, then you are fit now to be the. No, for you to be Auditor General, you have to be an auditor for maybe 20 years. Otherwise, you place there a young man, other auditors who are below him or her, they'll play around with the paper. He will be given papers to sign and whatever, and money is being stolen. And it is also good if you are the Auditor General. It's not just like making somebody who is 35 years to be the CDF or the Inspector General. Unless I'm wrong, I believe that both the Inspector General and the CDF have worked for 35 years. So you want somebody who was born the time when the CDF was being employed to come and become the CDF. There are some things that if you are an Inspector General, you want to know how the OCS feels in the field. You want to know how the OCPD feels, how the county, because you used to be there. Even though technology has changed and whatever, slightly left or right, but still, you have a feeling of what people are doing there. Do not underestimate, never underestimate something that is called experience. And the longer the experience, the better. Now, there is one thing among many that both Ruto and Raila have in common. Actually, there are two things they have in common, and both of them are negative. When Raila and Ruto are meeting their closest advisor, do they let the advisors advise them, or they advise the advisors to advise them? I do believe that a person of that position, when you meet those people, Raila, Ruto, and others, a few others, have various advisors at their call. And the advisors, if I'm not wrong, they are not less than 20. Each advisor has his or her specialty. For example, now a person like Ruto has 20 official advisors and he has a similar number or more of unofficial advisors. Like when Kibaki was the president, he had the former commissioner, can I say the former inspector general, Duncan Washira, as his unofficial advisor on security matters. So when you have such advisors, you have an advisor on diplomacy, you have an advisor on economics, you have an advisor on anything, legal matters, and so on. Now, my question here, if you'll allow me to repeat it, is do they let their advisors to advise them, or they advise the advisors to advise them? Do they tell the advisors, now, I want to go and buy milk. I want to go and buy milk. I'm going to the shop to buy milk. And I think Izo's shop is the best. Now, can you advise me to go to Izo's shop? That is, I have that strong feeling that both, among others, but if you go to the forefront of those leaders who have advisors, who advise their advisors to advise them, Ruto and Raila are on the forefront. The second thing, when Ruto or Raila are meeting their closest advisors, are the advisors bold enough to pass their advice? Or put it the other way, do they make the advisors free? You know, we have some advisors, when they see that you are decided on this or that side, they cheer you towards whatever they think, or whatever, or they get the impression, whatever. You should have an advisor who tells you to your face, this way you are going is wrong. Let us look for okay, you have moved so much, so that a quick change would be, let us make a very clever way of turning back. Let us make a very clever way of turning back, so that we are not seen to, or what do you call it? A tactical retreat. Yeah, they can tell you to make a tactical retreat. But do they have, on one side, I said we have leaders who advise the advisors to advise them, or whom the advisors, when they want to advise them, they try to mind read them. Say, I think the boss wants to go this side, so he advises him on that side. Or do we have advisors who can face the leader and tell him to his face that, no, what you're doing is this and that? Many of them, especially if they believe that, especially if they believe that the leader has made up his decision, they fear for sacking. Now, I want to talk about Tom MBOYA. Tom MBOYA was a Luo of the Suba tribe, of the Suba sub-tribe. He was a Luo by tribe, but of the Suba sub-tribe. When he gained the national or even international recognition, he was at the age of what the Gen Zs are today. Compared to his age mates, then he was less educated. If you compare to the age mates of his at that time, he was a Form 2 dropout, less educated than people like Ronald Ngala, Gala Mwendwa, Kina Otiendes, and so on. Those are people who were in around Form 4 education. We had graduates or his age mates. We had Kibaki. We had Kibaki Kibaki had 2 degrees. There was a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Economics. Mbio Koinange was the first African Kenyan with a master's degree. He was around that age. There was Gikonyo Kiano. Gikonyo Kiano was the first African to get a PhD. Those people are his age mates. Those people were influential. But if you look at J.M. Karaoke and Tom Mboya, who are of the same age but less educated, uh, I'm not sure whether JM was a Form 4 or a Form 2, but if you look at JM Karaoke and Tom Mboya, look at their education. They were on a lower level of education as compared to the people I've just mentioned. But then they did a lot to Kenya. Even today, we are still having that. Never even once did Tom Mboya turn to his elders like Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and said that you British, that you elders let the British misrule you. Today, when I talk, the Gen Z tell me, Nyamaza, you people are the ones who let Moi misrule the country for long. When Kenyatta died, I was in Form 3. When Kenyatta died, I was in Form 3. And I cannot discuss about life in Kenya during that time with somebody who was not born there. For a very simple reason, that I, being in Mandera, and my father being in Webuye, if I had to send money to my father, the quickest time my father would get money would be 6 days. Today, anybody, any young person can send me money. And I said the earliest my father could get the money is 6 days. But today, the earliest I can get any money from the young people is 6 seconds. So we cannot compare that. We cannot compare life then and now. Just like the youths of that time, the youths of Kina Tom Mboya never questioned elders like Kina Jaramogi and Mzee Kenyatta. The same as we did not question wazees like Kina Kibaki, and you should not question us. We had our time. Don't waste your time criticizing us. Do something. I think, to the best of my knowledge, Tom Mboya never even pointed once out problems. He only came out with solutions that proved he knew problems. For example, he knew that we had an academic problems, so he went with his age mate of a lower education, J.M. Karaoke, and solved that. J.M. Karaoke went to Israel and he came back with the NYS. You know that he's the founder of the National Youth Service. Tom Mboya went to the USA and befriended John F. Kennedy, and the great students' uplift came up. Another thing that Tom Mboya did, and very few people talk about it, is that we had people who were called Peace Corps, Americans who, because Tom Mboya wanted a lot of students in Kenya to learn, and many schools were being opened, Arambe schools. It had no teachers. For subjects like sciences, general subject like that, we had graduates from the US who used to come to Kenya and teach people. He did that. He did not say, "Oh, Jomo Kenyatta, no, no, no." He did not say, "I do not want the way the colonialists are doing things" or whatever. No. He saw a problem. He did not even address it. He just went and solved it. He came back from the US with scholarship of people who would rule Kenya. JM took several, I think there were 60 cadets, including people like Warohio Itote and so on. He took them, around 60 of them, to the USA Military Academy, and they came back and started NYS. Remember, NYS was not started with government funds or anything. It is just a young man called J.M. Karaoke who sat down and felt that the country required such a thing, and he solved it. He did it in his own violation and with no finance and a form to graduate. Both of them are form 2. What about you? Was there your time went? But the worst thing that Gen Z will ever, you don't answer back people rudely. Oh, was there your time is over, student? I even think, I'm very sure, if Gen Zs are told anything, they would want to have the German machine where which were Jews were being rounded up and taken to that burning chambers. I'm very sure if Gen Zs were given opportunity, they would round up anybody over 40 years and kill him. Yes, that thing has happened in one country, Cambodia. Phnom Penh, Phnom Penh. Of course, Cambodia has come and even overtaken the countries like Kenya. But Phnom Penh spoiled with this thing about we don't want people of a certain level and above. But anybody who is breathing has as much entitlement as you and me, or even better. So, you see, your greatest weakness is that you know how to find faults. I'm not saying you're wrong. Here is wrong, here is wrong. But out of the 10 wrongs you're pointing, can you come up with a suggestion? Can you come up with a suggestion? Don't do it. Just don't go there and say, we don't want this, we don't want that, we don't want this, we don't want. No. Say, now what example can I give? You are at the library, Kenya National Library. You want to go to town. Somebody is driving you. Say, no, driver, I don't want you to take the community jam road. At you go up to Nyayo house. No. Why can't we take this Selassie route and then go to town? Don't use the one you want, ya kwenda unapita Serena to town. No. Let us use this one which you go to Haile Selassie and that one. I think that is a better way than going through. What I mean is, if we are doing things towards the left and you find it is not good, why don't you come up with another alternative? This is a better idea than this. Yeah,